Very good. Well, I'm gonna get started here. We're 7:03, and not sure how long tonight's meeting is, but gonna be. Jeff and I had something that we're gonna teach tonight, but uh, Jeff had a family emergency pop up, and everything is fine. He just couldn't make it on tonight, so I'll let him fill in the blanks later if he likes. But So everything that we had planned today is getting pushed back. So I'm doing a little bit of a ad lib training a little bit, and wanted to share with you some possible ideas and help to bring in some new clients. So I'm going to get started on this and kind of just share, and maybe you guys have heard of this before, or a couple of these services before. But one thing that Jeff, Lynn, and I, and we hear all the time from all of our leadership and those that sell a lot of real estate. The most important thing is always to focus on your SOI and grow your SOI, because that's where most of your business is going to come from. And the interesting thing about that is even your cold leads that turn into warm leads down the road, they end up as your SOI down the road. So the goal of every cold lead is to turn them into a warm lead, and have an SOI. But that being said, we all need to have some lead generation, and we've talked about a lot of different things. Some things we've introduced in the last few weeks with Land Voice and some for sale by owner tools that we can use. But there's also other services that are available out there, and they're kind of either a fee for service or a shared commission service. And I just wanted to share a few of those, or a couple of them, with you. And probably you haven't heard of both of them, even if you've heard of one of them. So I know that I'm going to start off with the first one, and I know this is available in Utah right now, and they're working on it in Oregon as well. But I'm going to go ahead and share my screen here. In our Utah group, we have just right down here, just a few links down, we've got a sign up for OpCity. Have you guys heard of OpCity before?
Yeah, I'm signed up with them.
Okay. So just to kind of fill in some blanks, I've been on OpCity for about 2 or 3 months now. Actually, I just think just since Rick initiated it with Utah, and I know they're going to bring it on Oregon as well, and they have been set up on it before. But it's kind of it's a little bit like Zillow for agents, only you pay the fee afterwards instead of upfront. So with Zillow, if you've ever heard of the Zillow leads for realtors, you pay a large amount per month and get a few leads that are transferred to you, like a three-way call and introduction. And they're usually really good quality leads, but they're very expensive. So what OpCity does is they're actually associated with Realtor.com, and they do massive amounts of advertising and lead generation for both purchases, sell, and also lease. And you can opt into OpCity and have an app on your phone where when they get a new lead, they actually plug it in, and you can click on that lead that pops up on your app, just kind of like a text message on your app. And when you click on it, if you're the first one to pick it up, that lead is yours. That's how it works. And you can sign up for different systems where you're either looking for just buyers or just sellers or just lease, just rentals. There's different services in there. And obviously the more you opt into, the more that you receive. You can also put in your price ranges and everything, so you're not getting bogged down with a lot of potential leads that you don't want to have. But the way it works is if you pick a lead and they are connected to OpCity, you will get a call from OpCity within about 30 seconds, and the OpCity representative will come on with you and say, hey, I have a new lead in your area, and they'll give you the name of the lead and kind of what they're looking for and what they're doing. And they will join in that three-way call and introduce you on a three-way call to that potential prospect. And then you have a conversation with that buyer, seller, or whatever it is, or whoever they are, and you can basically do your do your thing and see what you can do to help them out. That first phone call is recorded, so Opcity tracks, you know, what kind of conversations that you have. And Opcity charges anywhere between 30 and 35% on a referral fee, depending on the price range. So if the house is under 150,000, it's a 30% referral fee. If it's over 150, it's 35%. So it's pretty expensive to use. But at the same time, if you don't have any business going, it doesn't hurt to push a button on your app and talk to somebody for a few minutes and see if you can help them out and get some business. Plus, any leads that you get that turn into business or a relationship, obviously you can get referrals from that new potential client and convert them into, non-paid referral business. So I wanted to bring this up for a couple reasons, because I had signed up for lease, purchase, and sell, and you guys can check it out and see if it would be a good fit for you. But if you haven't looked at it yet, I've been having some decent success with it. I don't click on all of them. I probably get, I'd say, anywhere between 2 to 5 a day. Because I signed up for the lease program. So I'm getting all the leases, and I'm going to tell you why I do that in just a few minutes. But if you're just doing purchase only, you're probably not going to get near that many, because most of the ones I get are lease opportunities. I get some that are, I need to lease a property in the next month, and I need to be $400 a month or less. So, I mean, a lot of them are not stellar leads, but there are some that do come in that are decent. And one of the reasons I thought I'd bring it up today is because one of the gentlemen I follow on EXP World, his name's Sean Cochran. I don't know if you guys have looked into him. I've mentioned him before, but he started in real estate, I think it was December. So he's coming on 2 years. He's a brand new agent less than 2 years ago, and he does Opcity quite a bit. And he's just closed his 50th transaction in less than 2 years in the business. And one of the things that Sean always says, if you want to sell more real estate, get people in front of a lender, and that's how you sell. I'm just letting people in the waiting room. Usually Jeff runs the waiting room, so. Sorry. Hi, Brianna. DL, how you guys doing?
Good. How are you?
Good.
I'm doing awesome, because guess what?
Tell me.
I got my $1 million listing under contract today.
That is so cool. Good
yes,
job.
I am so excited. Yes.
That is awesome.
So happy. And I'm late on this because I've been out showing homes to other clients. So
good for you. That is
so fun.
Be nice to get rid of that, huh? I mean, you've had that for a little bit, huh?
Yes, I'm so glad to be done. For sure. I mean, it's never done till it's done, right? But it's like, I'm glad to have it under contract at least.
Well, very good. Well, we're just talking about a couple lead generation systems that I use, and just kind of going through them a little bit. So welcome on.
Thank you.
So as mentioned, is Sean Cochran from EXP. He's actually in Chicago, and he says that when somebody asks him what's the secret to his success, he says, my goal every month is to get 20 people in front of my lender to try to get pre-approved. That's his only goal throughout the entire month. And sometimes he hits it, sometimes he's short of it. But he says people that talk to lenders and try to get pre-qualified, they buy houses when they get qualified. So one of the things that Sean uses is Opcity. And you can see, this is the Chicago leaderboard for Opcity. This was his ranking recently at 6 closes, 1.2 million in real estate. So smaller deals in Chicago. But he just talks about, listen to me, especially newbies, take the deals you can get. I don't care if Op City takes 33%. I think they take 35 actually. But he says, take that deal, have to drive a little farther, 75 miles or less, take the deal. So what do you have to give up? Some money? So what that you won't make as much on that deal. You're new. You still get the transaction. You still get the relationship. You still get the referral source. Only 3.5% of realtors in the US do 25 deals or more per year. Unless you're one of them, how the heck are you turning down anything even semi-reasonable? That was pretty cool. So Sean, even though he's selling a lot of real estate, he takes those deals and pays that percentage on Op City. I've probably in the last 3 months had about 200 leads come through. I've accepted, I think, about 8 because I'm just really busy and I don't always have time to pick them up. And like I said, most of them on my system have been lease. And the lease ones obviously are not really what we're looking for, but I have picked up some that were purchased. And just about 4 days ago, I picked up a lease that was $6,000 a month. And even though he said it was a lease, I hit it up. And I ended up chatting with him. He said he couldn't buy a house right now. He's going through a divorce. He had a late payment on mortgage back in January. And I said, that's great. Well, I'd be happy to help you on a lease purchase if we can work something out. And I actually sent him 5 properties in his price range. He was looking, between 600 and $1 million at his monthly price. He makes really good money, and it just felt like he couldn't get that loan at this point. So I sent him the 5 properties in Salt Lake and Utah County that we could do a lease option or seller finance because he has the down payment. Looked at a couple, and we decided, and the first time I met with him, I mentioned, even if we do a lease option or a seller finance, we always talk to a lender because we need to know what your exit strategy is and what your time frame is. Because my job as a realtor, if I'm doing a lease or a seller finance, is to sell you on your ability to perform on a lease option, or that you can handle the seller finance. He said, that makes sense. I'll definitely talk to your lender. So he filled out an application with my lender. Turns out with his down payment and his ability to pay off just a couple of his debts, he could actually qualify by bumping up his score a little bit. So I actually got a pre-approval letter for him yesterday. And we're shopping for houses, and we put in an offer today. So it was a lease, and he didn't think he could purchase, but he actually could when he talked to the right lender. So sometimes you have opportunities by just digging a little deeper and not turning away any business. And it's kind of funny. I talked to my wife about it 3 nights ago, and I said, should I even go out and go look at houses? And it's like I think it was a Thursday night, last Thursday. But I didn't have anything else scheduled, and it was a higher priced opportunity. And, I was like, I'm just going to go show some houses and make a relationship, even if it's just for a referral. And, it's probably going to work out really nice. So that was an Op City lead. So I'll pay, 35% on that, but it could turn into a really good deal. And who knows, it may not even happen. It may not even go through, but at least it gives me that opportunity. So back, yeah, go ahead.
So I've been dealing with Op City since it came out as well. And I noticed that all these leads are like extremely low on the price range. I mean, like you'll see 50,000. Like I think the highest I saw was 130, right? So, because we are being taught that we need to get them pre-approved. So, what's your approach with Op City on this? Because when I talk to these people, all they want to do is go look at houses. I'm like, and I try to make sure they talk to a lender.
Sure.
And they have it in their mind certain things already. I don't know how they got it in their mind, but So I'm trying to wonder how you approach a situation, because I've definitely been a lot of missing on that, you know?
Yeah, well, you kind of have to know their situation. And the first step is to talk to a lender. It's kind of like going shopping without your wallet or your purse.
Right.
You can't buy anything without knowing what you qualify for. So it takes a little bit of digging to find out, what position they're in, what can they afford. What I usually ask them is, so what are you doing right now? Where are you living right now? And if they say they're renting, I ask them how much are they paying per month. And if they're paying, $1,600 or $1,800 a month, I can reverse engineer that a little bit and say, well, if you can afford that, you might qualify for more than you think in a home because of where interest rates are. Have you had an opportunity to talk to a lender? Have you even seen what you would qualify for? And a lot of times the answer is no. So I will have them talk to a lender, unless they do have, if they're going a different path. Like this gentleman I met with a few days ago, he did have money down and he wanted to do a seller finance. So I took that risk, and it might not have worked out, but for the most part, yeah, the first step is definitely talking to a lender. But at the same time, if they don't want to talk to a lender yet and they just want some houses, I will offer to, at last resort, send them some properties. Like, well, what areas are you looking in? What price range do you think you are? How about if I send you some properties and you just let me know which ones you like? And then if I start that conversation over a 2 or 3 day period and I start to get some interaction, then I'll come back to that lender. Because one thing, Brenton, that you want to always keep in mind is there are no bad markets. Like there's no bad real estate market. There's a seller's market and a buyer's market. Mm-hmm. We're in a seller's market right now, heavy seller's market. So if we go look at a house and you find something you really like, probably it's a new listing because you really like it. Other buyers are going to like it too. We can't put in an offer on a house without a pre-approval letter from a lender because we're going to be up against other buyers that have that. So we have no chance of getting it. So let's not look at properties that we can't purchase, and let's find out where you're at. And, a lot of times people will qualify for a little more than they think. They have different opportunities, and that's the lender's job to find out where they really are. So it's a delicate balance, Brenton, for sure. Yeah. But you just have to value your time and what you're willing to do on that. But pre-approval letter is huge in that situation. So I definitely go for that.
Okay.
And don't be afraid to give a little bit too. Like if they're not willing to talk to your lender yet and they want you to send you want to send them some houses, go ahead and send them some houses, start those conversations.
Yeah. Yeah. Because I had a conversation, what was it, like last Monday, something like that. Uh-huh. And she said she pre-qualified for 100,000. And I'm like, okay, so we go through the process of wondering why, she thinks that is. And I guess because she makes a certain amount of money, she thinks. I'm like, okay, great. Well, I need to send you to a lender. Why do we need to do that? I'm like, because we can't go buy one until we have a pre-approval, right?
Correct.
Go through this, and she was really defensive about it. She says, I just want to go see houses. I told her, well, if you go see a house and you like it, we can't put an offer on it. And she's like, oh, okay, that makes sense. So I sent her to Ray, your guy, mm-hmm. And he talked to her, and he calls me back a little bit later, and he says, I have to tell you about this. This girl yelled at me and hung up on me. I'm like, what? Oh, wow. He's like, that has never happened to me before. I'm like, sorry about that, buddy. So I'm like, whoa.
Well, you meet all kinds in every business, right? So
amen, brother.
You probably just saved yourself a lot of heartache and lost time.
For real though. I bet you that's true.
Yeah. I know I'm not the only one that's gone shopping for cars that I couldn't afford because I just wanted to make some future plans. Mm-hmm. So, there's shoppers out there that just want to look at houses and get some ideas that really have no business out there, looking for homes. So,
That's
you know,
most,
you don't want to waste your time, right?
yeah, that's most of my leads, honestly.
Well, so part of the reason I wanted to bring up the Opcity and the lease part of it, and the reason that I do lease is because I've been working with a company for probably about a year and a half, maybe 2 years, that I've done some lease option purchases with in the past. And I don't think I've ever brought this up before, but I started in the business in lease options and investing and doing some seller finance. So it's always been a part of my business. But there's a company called Home Partners of America. I don't know if has anybody heard of Home Partners of America?
No, I haven't.
So if you haven't heard of it, you don't have to say anything. Just tell me if you have heard of it, anybody. But so I'll tell you a little bit about Home Partners and why I chose the lease option on Opcity. So Home Partners of America is a lease purchase program, and it is designed for those buyers that are kind of in between situations. Like they're not quite ready to buy, but they're sick of renting and they want to find a house that they can actually move into and purchase down the road. We all know what a lease option is, but what Home Partners does is they pick out and vet properties in certain areas that will fit the criteria that their lenders will approve and purchase. So just to give you an example, I'm just going to cruise down here. I'm in Salt Lake County. There's 58 homes in the Salt Lake metro area, so kind of Salt Lake County. And these are pre-selected by Home Partners of properties that they would do a lease purchase on. So I'm just going to pick a random one here. Let's say this one in South Jordan. The purchase price is $342,999. Notice it has an MLS number. This is listing courtesy of Acre 9 Real Estate Company by Brooklyn Phillips. I can pretty much guarantee that Brooklyn has no idea her property's on this website. The reason it's on the site is because in Salt Lake County, the maximum Home Partners goes to is $350,000, and it fits the criteria of Home Partners to purchase. So what Home Partners does is for someone that wants to do a lease purchase, they will actually buy this home cash and they will lease it to the tenant with the option to purchase, and they have 5 years to purchase. So as a realtor, if I bring a tenant that wants to purchase this home but can't quite yet, maybe they're 8 months away, maybe they're going through a divorce, maybe they had a bankruptcy 7 months ago and they're just not quite ready to qualify, but they're sick of renting and they want to have a fence for their dog, and they say, I love this house, I would buy this if I could, I just can't yet, and I don't want to move again, I'm sick of moving. So what Home Partners would do is they'll purchase this, and the rent would be $2,500 a month, and Home Partners will take the first month's rent, the last month's rent, and one additional security deposit, so it'd be a total of $7,500. Now, if this house was for rent only, it'd be first and last month, right? That's what it would be. It'd be $5,000 to move into this house if it was just a rental. So you're talking about a difference of $2,500 to have the option to purchase this home. So as a realtor, when I represent actually Home Partners on the purchase, and Home Partners takes care of the client that I brought them. So when that house closes, I get paid the full realtor commission in 30 to 35 days, just like any other transaction. And then Home Partners takes care of the lease and the purchase and everything to do with that new tenant. So basically after that closing, I'm done just as I would with any other property. So as far as Opcity goes, if I take the lease, a lot of times people are kind of in a situation where maybe they might fit into Home Partners, or I could do a lease purchase with them. the criteria of qualifying for Home Partners is quite a bit less than what a lender will require. It's really quite simple. They only pull TransUnion credit. It needs to be 550 or higher, which is lower than what FHA or conventional is. So it's easier to qualify on that one score. They will look at the debt to income ratio, just like a regular lender will, to make sure they can qualify for the home. And then the past 5 years, they can't have any evictions or any felonies in the past 5 years. So that's their criteria. So when I use Home Partners, I really use it just for buyers that can't qualify now and can also get qualified usually in the next 10 months or up to 22 months maximum. And the reason is, I'm going to show you how this program works, is if we look at this property. Yeah, go ahead.
What about foreclosures? Can they have foreclosures? And what about their income? What if they're self-employed? Do they have to have a 2 years?
Trying to remember what that criteria is on that specifically. I'd have to look into that and remember if I had known. I don't know if I've done a self-employed one with them, but they look at the income and debt to income ratio similar to, a lender, but
Okay.
it is easier to qualify for than a lender. That's a good question. I'll write it down. I'll have to look into that.
Do you have a rep you can call and talk to and discuss things with?
Yeah, super easy. I've talked to them a lot of times on the phone. They're easy to get a hold of. There's a one-time $75 application fee. It's non-refundable, so you kind of want to vet out your potential tenant or buyer to make sure that they don't have any of those issues with their credit, so you're not wasting their $75. You want them to be, at least close enough to make sense to apply for it. So in this case, this house, if you look on the MLS and you look it up, this is exactly what it's listed for. So when you make an offer, you're actually, the buyer is Home Partners and you're representing Home Partners and you're putting an offer in on their behalf, and it could be less than that. So here's how it works. So the first year, they pay $2,500 a month in rent, and then year 2, it goes to $2,590. So the rent does go up each month. Their option to purchase is $360 the first year. And then the second year, it goes to $375. And so even though you have 5 years to purchase, I try to, everyone that I even discuss this with, I make sure that they're in a position where they qualify in less than 2 years, just because that option price is moving up. So when I first looked at this, I thought, well, that's kind of rough. You've got the price going up every single year for your option price. But for our people that are renting right now that didn't buy 3 years ago, didn't their option price also go up for buying a house? Because you can't buy the same house 3 years ago or today that you could have 3 years ago for today's value. So it actually kind of gives that buyer an advantage because they're really paying $2,500 extra at the beginning for the option to purchase a home in the future at a certain price. So if the market, for example, let's say the market went down and this house in 3 years or 2 years, it was only worth $320,000. If they would have purchased it, they would have negative equity, correct? But since they rented it, they don't have to purchase it. They have the option to purchase. They could actually go buy a different house at less amount. So depending on how you look at this, it could be a positive or a negative, depending on your point of view when you're going into the house. So it's a really interesting program. It's also a good way to just talk to other buyers too that that have been renting, to give them a second option if they're not ready to purchase or can't purchase right now. DL, tell me about your friend looking for a lease option. Very nice. Well, if you have any questions or need any help with it, just, yeah, let me know.
Is
So
it-
they're in different areas. Let me see. I'm just curious if they are in Oregon or not.
Does it cost anything to join the Home Partners of America?
Nope. Let's see. Where's Oregon City, Nathan?
It's up, I think it's by Portland.
So you'll notice right up here, Home Partners is now live in 20 markets. They actually shut down for about 3 months during COVID, and they're slowly opening up more markets, but they're in 50 states. So they're opening up more and more.
Hey, Eric, this is Shantae.
Yeah.
Hey, sorry, I missed a couple minutes of that with the kids coming in, but essentially is the process such that these homes are already on the MLS,
Yep.
available to purchase, but people that aren't quite ready and still need to rent or lease would say, hey, Eric, I'm interested in this property. You know, and then you talk about the lease options. They see if they qualify for the lease option with Home Partners of America. And if they qualify, then you write up an offer as if you're representing Home Partners of America as the buyer.
Correct. Home Partners would be the buyer, and they pay
Okay.
cash for the home. Yep, correct. And of course, they set up the lease agreement and the option agreements with the tenant, and then you close with the buyer. So it'd be like a cash transaction for you.
So you don't have to manage the lease options at all. Home Partners does that, and you just get your 2.5 or 3% buyer's commission.
Yep, exactly right. Yep.
Okay.
Exactly right.
And they
Yeah.
don't take a fee or percentage from you.
Nope. It's a full commission.
It's a pretty good deal.
Yeah, it's a good program for those that are kind of in between. And I've actually closed quite a few transactions just by letting people know that I have this option. And I've ended up getting them qualified anyway. I closed one just back in March that I had talked to about a lease option about 9 months previous. And they were really close on credit, and I talked to them about Home Partners and also their options of what they needed to get their credit in place. And they just decided, you know, we're just going to fix our credit based on what the lender said, and we'll get a house at the end. So I got the buyer because of Home Partners and the lease option opportunity that I shared with them. But I ended up just doing a conventional sale on that one anyway. But it was kind of that open door because I was giving them an opportunity in between renting and purchasing. They do have lower home prices, you know, because it's more in that sweet spot of, you know, easier to manage for Home Partners, easier to sell if they ever needed to, or re-rent. But yeah, it's a fantastic program. Been around for quite a while. Not super prevalent in Utah. Not a lot of people know about it or use it, but I've really enjoyed it. It's a good lead. Just another good way to help people out and give people another option.
I'll definitely be using it.
Trying to think of what else I can share with you on it. You'll have questions later, I'm sure.
When you looked it up right there, is that the only thing that came up is Oregon City?
I think so, yeah. But let me see.
I have looked up Northwest Portland and other areas before. They're available in scattered markets. So I'm curious though, on the buy side, does Home Partners tend to negotiate price with you at all, or do they just go in at list price, or how does that part of the process work?
Part of it, they do usually offer less than what the purchase price is, but they do their own CMA, and then you also provide them a CMA. So they offer full price sometimes, or purchase at full price sometimes, and sometimes they negotiate lower.
Okay.
Yep.
Thank you.
Yeah, of course. Trying to remember where the areas are, because I know they have it listed. And there used to be a lot more areas, but they're just starting to open up some new areas after the COVID. It just so happened that Salt Lake was one of the first ones they opened, but they haven't opened all the areas that were in Salt Lake. It used to be a lot more.
Yeah, I do here in Oregon. I do have Up City, but I left the lease off because
Right.
I just don't want to deal with it.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'll turn it on if that's the case. I mean, the Op City's locked up right now in Oregon.
Yeah. So this was 419 homes in Portland Metro. So that's definitely back open. Looks like they have a higher price up there too, because Salt Lake is capped at 350. They've got some in here for 4.25.
Yeah, Portland's pretty expensive.
Looks like 450 is their cap up there. What county is Salem in?
Marion and what's the other one?
It's Marion and Polk. It's only West Salem that's in Polk County.
How do you spell Marion?
Marion.
Okay. No results found. They might not be open there yet. They were before. I've looked before, but they're just reopening more and more after the COVID stuff. So you've heard of Home Partners before, Shantae?
Yeah, from you.
Okay, gotcha.
From a previous listing, we talked about creative methods to advertise it.
Okay, perfect.
Hey, Eric, can you type in Lynn County in there?
LY?
Linn.
Oh, like that?
Yeah.
Don't see anything there. So that right now, I know they're only showing ones that they're open in right now. So that doesn't mean that it won't come back in the future. They've been open new areas every couple weeks.
Now, our restaurants have been open to go in and sit down for better than a month. So I just didn't know if they'd opened up yet before some of the other areas.
Gotcha. So any other questions, guys? That's kind of like I mentioned at the beginning, Jeff and I had a training scheduled, and so I had to kind of decide on what to throw together tonight. And I just thought I'd share a couple stories and a couple ideas for you guys. I know sometimes it's a little bit of a fire hose. Like, we have so many different things that we can focus on. And it's just important that you stay focused on, maybe 2 or 3 niches that you really like, that resonate well with you. But these are a couple, pretty easy ones to add to your game and, your toolbox, and be knowledgeable about. Especially if somebody says, maybe you're working with a buyer potentially that brings something up. Like, I was looking at Home Partners with another agent a little while ago, and you have no idea what it is. it's nice to have some knowledge of really as many programs out there as possible. So you at least know, you're versed in those topics.
Eric, I got a question for you.
Yeah.
Do we have access to like Land Voice with like a phone dialer?
Like a phone dialer within Land Voice?
Mm-hmm. Or do we have something like in KV Core that would do the same, like maybe substitute?
I don't think so. I think the Land Voice does offer a dialer. We just didn't opt in for that one. I think probably Mojo is probably the easiest one to attach to, and I haven't priced that out in a while. But,
yeah, there's a few. As soon as I started, I worked with RedX, and I was buying phone leads for Circle Prospecting, farming essentially, right?
Yeah.
And I had a dialer on that. I just paid for a single dialer. They have up to 3 triple dialer,
Yeah.
I was wondering about that because that's my next project is going to be starting to call the for sale by owners, and then my next one is going to be condos. So
Perfect.
So I have a question on that too, Eric.
Yeah.
So when we go into the lead database for the FSBOs, there's
Yeah.
a section where it says notes. Is that where we put in that we're claiming it? How do we claim it?
Yeah, that's a great question. Let me jump on that real quick.
just type in no touchy.
I like it.
Right? Simple enough.
Simple enough, yeah.
So yeah, right here, you can click to add a note. And there it is.
Okay.
Basically you just type in like notes that you contacted them or you had a conversation with them, and then everyone else knows that you're working on them.
Yeah. And so we don't touch the actives, right?
Well, these are FSBOs. Yeah, exactly. Sorry. Current MLS status active. Correct.
Okay.
Yep.
And you can call the do not calls on the FSBOs.
Correct. Absolutely. Yeah, that's it.
Okay.
All of the phone numbers on here are posted on their FSBO sign or ads that they have run. So that negates the do not call because they're asking for people to call them.
Right.
Yep.
No, I thought about that when I was looking at it the other day. I'm like, I remember that.
I missed that part.
Yep.
What's that, Nick?
Oh, I said I missed that part.
The do not calls?
Yeah.
Yeah, you can call the do not call phone numbers if they're on for sale by owners, just not the other. Not
Yeah.
the
I see that now.
Perfect.
I got a lot more numbers to call.
For sure.
I mean, it's
Okay.
in red.
Go ahead, Nathan. Is that?
I just said that it's in red, do not call. So
Yeah. It's very out there. Yeah, you can on the FSBOs though. And I know a lot of agents that call them on the expireds too, but that's not for me to recommend. That's for sure.
So DL's asking, where's the FSBO status shown?
current
So-
MLS status.
The MLS status is right here. So that means that it's an active listing. So it was a FSBO and it was listed. If you see a pending, that means it's under contract. If it says unknown, it's not on the market. So that just means it's for sale by owner.
I had a couple that I called that were, oh, sorry, no, it's not really for sale by owner. We just put out that status on it. We're going to be listing it as soon as we're done building it.
So do they have a listing agent to help them with that?
Yeah,
process?
they have an in-house.
They have an in-house. Okay.
Yeah, trust me, I asked.
Interesting. Interesting they'd put it on for sale by owner like that.
Yeah.
DL, if it's active, that means that it's on the MLS, so it's not actually a FSBO anymore.
Now, Eric, is that counting? So it's on the MLS, so it's active, but is that counting like Zillow's for sale by owners posted to the MLS through them?
No, that wouldn't count. That would be just the MLS only, not a Zillow listing.
Well, because Zillow is, I think it's Zillow. It's either Zillow or Realtor.com. They're listing FSBOs on the MLS.
Yeah, I recently heard that as well. I'd have to look more into that
It's
to
a
really
small,
know if it would show up on here that way or not.
it's like a small fee and then they list it.
Yeah. Yeah, interesting. So, well, if it's on the MLS and it'd be active here. So if
Yeah.
they're pulling it off the MLS and it's on the MLS, it's going to show active. Yeah.
Well, I believe it was Zillow.com or not Zillow, Realtor.com I was on, and you can go over on the FSBOs that are listed on the MLS, and you can go over to the agent column, and you go to the bottom, and the owner's name and number is listed there, and you can call them about the house.
Yeah. Very good. Anybody else have any further questions? If you guys have any more questions on OpCity or Home Partners, you can reach out to me individually too, because I'm using OpCity more now. I'm learning more about it, but I've used Home Partners quite a bit, so I'm really pretty familiar with it. So I've actually done some advertising on specific listings too. For example, I've just advertised certain properties too, just to put them out there to let other people know there's lease options available. And I've gotten quite a few calls on them as well that way.
Would you kind of advertise this on your social media or not really?
Yeah, if you have permission from the agent, there's actually EXP listings on here too. And you can get permission from the agent to just put it on your social media. You can even do a property boost on them because they're MLS properties.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Hey, Eric,
Yeah.
what is the lease term that Home Partners requires?
As far as like their minimum or?
Yeah, is the minimum like a 12-month?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Most of them, they shoot for 3 years, but they end up going to 1 or 2.
Okay.
Yeah.
Does their lease expire if they don't take the option by the 5th year?
They have the option to continue, but it's a new, it's just a new lease that they would have to sign, new agreement they would sign. But they don't have to leave. They just have to re-up a new one. Thanks, Kim. That's about all I had for tonight. Sorry we had a little change of plans, but I hope this was at least helpful to you and gave you some ideas.
Oh, this is a good one.
Something new you haven't seen before, maybe.
You gave us another tool, Eric. That's all we can ever ask for.
It was great, Eric. Thank you.
Yeah, well, thanks for jumping on. And let me know if you ever need anything at all, any of you. Really appreciate it. And we'll see you soon.
All right. Have a great night.
Any other questions? You can hit me up individually unless you got something else too tonight. Perfect. Well, thanks all. And we'll be back next time with Jeff as well too. And we'll hit that training we're going to do tonight. It was a good one too. But I wanted Jeff with me because he's got some awesome input on the topic. So we will see you all soon.
Have a great night.
Yep. Hey, thanks all. Good night.
Thanks, Eric.
Good night.
Yep. Bye-bye.